Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Eli Nishmas Mordechai. Before we start, I have to give a warning. Today's sugya might not be 100% appropriate according to some people for children and bachurim, so I am letting you know. This picture, Rabbi Sai, says it all. Here we have Yosef, Bilyag, and Lauren Spiegelman, who went all the way up north to visit Avi Mandelbaum all the way on the right. Yosef is in the left, Lauren Spiegelman in the middle. Drove over 2 hours each direction to get there. Unbelievable. Lauren, you knew Avi before? You ever met him before? Yeah, okay. My name is Chaim Solomon. If you could... I'm 30 years old and I live in Far Rockaway. My close friend, Elon Sharf, had been pushing me to start learning Yeshir for about a year. My wife finally convinced me when we started Ksubas. Haven't missed the Shir yet. Just made my first siyum on Ksubas. I'm excited every day to learn. It's been really... Amen. Thank you, Levi. Really appreciate it. But we're in the middle of a Shir. Yeah. Sit down, have it... I'm excited every day to learn. It's been really enjoyable. And not only am I inspired to keep learning and finish more Masechtas with you, but I've always taken this excitement and started waking up before 5 a.m. to have a full first Seder before Shachas to learn other areas also. My father-in-law saw my experience and since transferred to our shir as well, which is a nice connection that we now have. Thank you for all that you do. And I look forward to meeting you in person soon. It attaches me and my father-in-law making a siyum together. And of course, a good morning video. Wow. This is Tzaddik on the right, made his first siyum. That's how I understand that. The video I couldn't open. Attaches a picture of us today by the Providers Expo. So you have Nesanel Gans all the way on the right, and Yossi Klein, the famous Yossi Klein, two from the left. Nesanel got his friend Yossi to be part of the panel. So in this picture, you see Yiddi Schwartz on the left, Yossi Klein second to the left, Shimi Grouse in the middle, Yitzchak Bernak. We see him on Zoom a lot, no? That's it. And Nesanel again is host of the panel, which includes Yossi Klein. Shkoyach. This I love, because we have WMDYs for women, the women division of MDY, which hasn't opened yet. We also have Junior MDY, which hasn't opened yet. And here's a new one. JWMDY. This is a piece of art by Zissy Baum, 9 years old, from Borough Park. She's a junior woman from MDY, two groups that haven't opened yet. Isaac Shabbat, good evening, Reb Eli, found a picture of Ayel Kamtza to help out with today's sugya. Hope that helps for MDYs. I don't know how they know I guess this looks like a ram somehow. Ayel Kamtza. By Gerald Isaac. I'm just trying to see if anybody knew. Shlomi! Shalom Aleichem, what are you doing here? Get over here, Shlomi. I've been waiting to give this to you since Shlomi Leitner, Rabbi Sai. Shlomi, what a get, I didn't give you one. Shkoyach. In honor of Shlomi Leitner, please accept this token of our appreciation and recognition of your tireless efforts, commitment, and dedication. One of the three people that put together the unbelievable siyum in London. Your tireless efforts, commitment, and dedication is much appreciated. You're a valued member of MDY team. Together will continue. Lahagdol Torah Adira. Eli Stefansky makers Daf Yomi. Shkoyach Gadol. You brought Penny with you? Unbelievable what you did. Shkoyach. Sorry that we didn't have this ready. No, it's hard to get good help these days.
Can I just say something?
Yes.
It was only the success of the MDY UK trip to Siyumin was only because of the guests. All that came.
All the 30 guests that showed up.
All that wanted to come. Those that joined.
Avi had tickets to come. But there was a family emergency. His partner's emergency.
That made it so special.
Thank you very much.
MDY UK.
Yes.
It was an honor to host you all.
Thank you so much. Is it true that over 100 people signed up since then?
Yeah.
Over 100 people. Unbelievable.
Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. Shkoyach Shlaima. Here's a very long email, so I'm not going to read the whole thing. Jerry Isaac. I want to thank you for the opportunity to learn Daf with you tomorrow, which is today. November 14th is 1 year that I started learning the Daf Tainus with you, and it's 372 Daf and 6 Mesechtas later. I never thought I could do this, haven't missed a day for a whole year. I did it bli neder, very nice. Every so often, I'm thinking about the daf. He says like this is a shtach, I don't know. Every so often during the day, as I'm working, I think about the daf. Unbelievable. But I don't really think too much about your jokes. Besides the Gemara, I've learned many things during the past year I've never would have learned otherwise. Over the last month, my wife and I decided to start Shnai Mikra V'Echad Targum. We both encourage each other. In addition, I just started backtracking, and I'm currently learning Rosh Hashanah through your recordings. It's going a little slow, and he hopes to start it up from brachas. I'm just curious. I met so many people who started going back from brachas. Question is if they made it through Shabbos and Erevin. Brachas is huge. Then I recommend start from Erevin. If you finish Erevin, then go back to brachas. I haven't been tired to stroll in 5 years. We want to come check it out, visit you. Yishkoyach, Jerry Isaac. Zal and Silver, I really think with the bottom of my heart. Wonderful shiurim every day. Hashem should give you koyach to continue. Absolutely change my life entirely. By the way, so you know, I'm one of those people that learns it on all daf. Real quickly, Stephen Rosenthal, $200 a month. Netba Incorporated, 100. I'm just going through the names that the guys that gave over 100. Jake Lebovig, 100. Yossi Klein, 100. Moshe Goikman, 100. Ronnie Gorovitz, 100. Stephen Schwartz, 100. Tzvi Shir, 100. Evan Weinstein, 100. Jack Grazzi, 200. The guy that started it all. Joseph Goldberg, 100. And Jeff Rosner, 200. Yeshua Koyach. Rabbi, so we have another bracha here out loud if anybody wants to answer. Amen. Amen. Koilel, what?
Levi said all his brachas. It's okay.
You done? Bracha Chreina Levi Mefsher? Okay. The Koilel sponsor Lizichus Refua Shlaima Yosef. The Parnas, another Parnas HaKoilel for the month. May we always be able to support Torah, and may the Torah protect us from any harm. Amen. This third Parnas of the Koilel for the day. I love it. For the day. Shelley Gombeck, in memory of Elko Basrav Moshe Halevi, Elaine Gombeck. The Masechta. Ein Zgula Torah, Ein Tומכיה, כיעקב, ויעל, Lak. I'm going to see we have a special day, a Parnas HaDay from Yaakov Lak, from the Lak family. Parnas HaShavua, Shlomo, Rubinstein, Lzecher Nishmas, Avi Moiri, Baruch Ben Leib. Parnas HaChodesh, Nishmas Zechariah Ben Moshe. Parnas HaChodesh, Jeff Rosner, in zchus my son Yosef Simcha Chaim Ben Chana Refuah Shlaima Amen. Parental Guidance, Dr. Avrum Epstein, who I received a picture from somebody from Chicago. He's alive and well, he says. In memory of my dear departed loved ones, including my recent Yom Tov yizkors. Parental Hayoim, the Rab family, Lzecher Nishmas, our father, Rabbi Yisrael Ben Yaakov. Parental Hayoim, just in Ivri. Thank you, You Reb Eli, for the massive effort you invest daily to bring us life. HEM CHAYENU. Special Parental Hayoim, the Lak family. Refuah Shlaima, for Meira Bas Sheva, who's having surgery on Tuesday. Refuah Shlaima. Amen. MDY Chabad. Zchus Refua Shlaima. Yitzchak Mordechai B'Mirul Shalamis. This is very special because it's MDY Chabad doing a Refuah Shlaima for MDY Bells. Bells in London. So it's two brother-in-laws that are related. Yishkoyach. Here we go. We started from a brand new Mishnah, Daf Chof, Amud Aleph. Hopefully we can finish the parak. I got it. Shkoyach. Brand new Mishnah, Lili Nishmas, Sipar Fega Bas, Reb Tuvia Zchurna Levracha. Till now we were learning the Mishnah that if a person, if let's say there's a 50-50 on what he's saying, we're not 100% sure what kind of neder he made, what kind of vow he made. Stam Nedarim lahachmer. We're going to take it le isur. We're going to say that it's a good neder. Now we're going to be discussing something slightly different. Almost the same thing, but not really. Over here, it's like a 90-10. If a guy says, I want something to be like a carbon. What does a carbon mean? In anybody's mind, what does a carbon mean? It means a carbon that you bring on a mizbeach. No. He meant a king. A guy says, what does Harei Atzmi carbon? What does Atzmi mean? Atzmi. Atzmi in Hebrew means myself. No, maybe he meant the bone. Atzmi, Atzamot, Etzem, Atzmi, one of my... So it's a very, very far-fetched thing. It's a 90-10, we'll call it. He said Chayrim. Chayrim is a lashon of Isser. I'm taking this object, I'm making it Asr, I'm making it to the Beis Hamikdash. I'm making it something that belongs to the Kohen. He says no. There's a word in the dictionary, those who speak real proper Lashon Kodesh, the word Chayrim also means a net, a fishing net. That's what I meant. Kids, I meant that my Chayrim should be a joke. It should be a bunch of holes. It should be nothing. It should be a net. It should be a bottle. Nothing. What if he says bikarban? I was giving King Charles, it's hard to say, King Charles, giving him a carbon, a gift. Shkoyach. Did you really mean that? You meant the carbon? Yeah, but that's what I meant. I'm telling you I meant. Hari atzmi carbon. Myself is a carbon. No, maybe I meant my bone. I have a bone in my closet. I'm making the Nedarim on it. Guy says, Koinam ishti nehenesli. I'm making a neder.
It's important to know.
Yeah?
The animal.
Okay, I don't know what it is. He's one of those. I'm sure. I don't even know if he had a bone. He's saying he has a bone. Koinam ishti nehenesli. I'm making a neder against my wife. Oh, I didn't mean you. I meant my ex, my wife. So it's not mistaber really. Yeshiva Bach was on a date, and it's like he's dating this girl 3-4 days. Finally, on the 4th day, he goes, I have to tell you, you remind me, you look mamish like my first wife. She's like, now you remember to tell me what you used to be married? No, I was never married. Shicha. You guys didn't. Al Kulan, what? Now they get it. Al Kulan in Shalom Lahem. So, I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about my first wife. It's a line. You see, it's a line from the Mishnah. On all these, you don't go to the Rav. You don't have to ask the Rav. It's a good, 10%, you're right, it's very far-fetched. He said Chayrim. Who in the world uses Chayrim? Most of us don't even know what Chayrim is. We say it on Erev Rosh Hashanah. Charamim, Nedarim, zchus, Prishos. Who knows what? Chayrim. I don't know. I just threw it in there. It doesn't say it in there, but you could stick in any word and you just say it. Chayrim. Okay, maybe this year we'll know what we're talking about. No, he meant a fishing net. Okay, fishing net. I'm saying when we say it on Erev Rosh Hashanah, don't think about fishing nets. We have the real chayrim. Akulan ein nishalu. Vim nishalu. Oh, so what does im nishalu mean? So I'm just going to tell you the Gemara. The Gemara says im nishalu means if you're not ma'aretz. If you're not ma'aretz, you go to the Rav. If you're not ma'aretz, you don't have to go to the Rav. You're potter. It's not a net. But if you're not ma'aretz, we're going to punish you. What, real quickly, what's Einshin Oysan? We'll see it in the Gemara, but it's kedai to do a little chazara. Einshin Oysan is that if a person breaks his neder, let's say he has a neder for 30 days, and 10 out of the 30 days, he didn't do what he was supposed to do. He said he's not going to eat bread for 30 days. He's on a diet, and he broke his diet every Shabbos. 4 Shabbos. So he has to make it up. 4 days, he has to pay back. That's Einish. Umachmir Malayem. Let's just say this out, because it's kedai to remember this. So Rabbi Isai, does anybody know, seriously, if you know the difference between a petach and a charata, please raise your hand. Anybody? No, seriously. Anybody know what a petach and a charata? I'm not going to ask you what it is. Just raise your hand. How many people? We have 3 people that know 4, 5, 6 people that know 7, 8. Good. 7, 8. We have 8 people there that know Petach and Charata. I don't know how many people are sitting here, but a lot. So I have to tell you that it's very possible, lahalacha, that if you don't know the difference between a Petach and a Charata, you're puzzled to do Hataras and Darim and Erev Rosh Hashanah for your friends. So you didn't raise your hand, right? And you were one of my 3. We might have to reconvene after. But anyways, I'm going to tell you now, so you'll know. Seriously, you have to know this. It's important, even though you take layman, but you have to at least know the difference between a Petach and a Charata to be one of the 3 dayanim on the Hataras and Darim. A Charata is very easy. Charata means I regret what I did. If yesterday I was really upset, I had a problem with my anger, I couldn't control my anger, so I made a neder. My wife, I'm so upset at you, you're not going to benefit from me for 30 days. Today, I look back and I say, wow, I have charata. If I was like today, I wouldn't do it. Yesterday, I was upset, but today I'm not upset. So today I'm having charata. That's pashut. I have charata. It's very easy to do. Anybody can do it. Petach is a little bit more complicated. Petach means I'm looking for an excuse, like Ari said yesterday. Had I known that I'm going to be stuck with this forever, but that's not a good petach, really. But a different petach, whatever. We have to find, the Rav has to find, had you known a certain piece of information, would have you done that neder? And you say no, okay, it's not a neder. So, it's a little bit of a problem because I don't know how that works, because that's in the future. So yeah.
Had you known.
I know, had you known, but okay, I don't know how that works, la halacha. Okay, I know that's what happened with Kavos. You're right. But at the time when he made the neder, he wasn't Rebbe Akiva. So I'm saying it's a little bit of it's a future, something it's a noilad. It happened later. What? So Tais explains it's not noilad. Okay, right. Fine. But in a noilad, it's a problem. Something that was created later. It has to be something like now. Rebbe Akiva, anybody can go to yeshiva because the yeshiva exists. Okay, fine. I'll go upon him. So what are we talking about over here real quickly? Because we're going to go over it again, Chazara. But over here, the Mishnah is telling us that Machmirim Aleim. If you have the option of Pesach and Charot, and I say you can only get one of the 2. I'm going to be Machmir on you. In other words, I'm going to give you, I'm going to make you go through the harder one, which is Petach. Charot is easy. Anybody can do Charata. I'm eliminating Charata from my Hatara. You come to the Rav to do Hataras and Darim, I'm not going to give you Charata. I'm going to have to work really hard to find a way out. Had you known this and this, you wouldn't have done it. And sometimes you can't come up with it, you're stuck with the neder. You could do even Charata, out of the 2, Pesach and Charata, I'll give you Charata. And you teach these Amaratzim, you shouldn't just go lightly with Nedarim. Says Gemara Guvakashya, Amris ain't Nishalom Lem. You say that these are Nedarim. Yes, he meant the fishnet. Yes, he meant the carbon given to the king, and he meant the bone that he has in the closet. So you don't have to go to the Rav. And then you tell me that they shouldn't, if they do go to the Rav, we're going to punish them. And what do you mean machmir? What do you mean machmir? You need a petach, you don't need a petach. You need a charata, you don't need, we just said you don't need, not a charata, not a petach. Go home. You meant a net is not a neder. Now all of a sudden, we're going to punish you and we machmir on you and you can't do charata, you can only do a pesach. What is it? But what's the condition? So the Mishnah is saying you don't have to go to the Rav because mid'oraisa it's not a neder. You explained yourself away. Yes, it's a very far-fetched explanation. It's a terrible explanation. It's a net, a fishing net. Who talks like that? But we'll tell you it's not a neder. But if you're not ma'aretz, even though it's not a neder, shebal l'shael, he must come to ask a question. Not sheba. He feels like going to the Rav. He's an Amaretz. He must show up to the Rav. You can stick that in. Take your pencil, write down the word Chayev. We give him a punishment. What's the punishment again? That he has to make up all the days that he lost. He doesn't have the two options of Charot and Pesach. He only has one option of Pesach. It just brought to mind that, the famous Sefer Reishis Chachma, Musar, in Yeshiva we used to learn it. You're going to burn in hell like this, and there's going to be Chibut HaKeber like that, and then they're going to take you... What?
Malachim with the eyes.
The Malachim with the eyes. Scary stuff. They take the Gilgal Neshamas, and they take your Neshama and throw it from one side to the other. Whole Zach. I learned it when I was like 12, 13. It's nightmares. So they asked the Chazon Ish, is everything in the Sefer true? He said, yes, for Amaratzim. But Talmidei Chacham have it's a whole different ball game, he said. Says the Gemara. I wish I would have known it at 13. Says the Gemara, they gave us these Sfarim in Yeshiva. Learn them, Mesilas Sharma, Reishis Chachma, whatever you want. It's like, okay.
What's the reason?
No, because the Mishnah says that Kalas Rosh. They don't know how to act. They talk. They're very light with their words. I swear like that. I'll do like that. So you gotta put them in their place. Says the Gemara. Okay, I understand what Chumrah means. Show the chart for a second. If we have two options, we could say, here's the easy option. You have charata, you regret what you did? Yes, you're out of here. No. The loy paschina loy becharata. But what does it mean to give a punishment? If a person made a nazirus, he said he's not going to drink wine, he's not going to have anything to do with wine product, with grape products. He must do all the days that he said he's going to be a nazir. He said he's going to be a nazir for 60 days, 60 days. If he took off 3 days in between and he drank wine on Shabbos, whatever, he couldn't control himself, so he has to go 63 days, add 3 days. What if a person becomes tamei in middle? Tamei. Reset the whole thing. Start all over. Over here we're saying something similar. It's not a reset, it's you have to add the days. You have to make sure you have all those days. Huh? Make up days. That's great if you have very small nazirus. What if you took a break of 35 days? You have a 60-day nazirus, 35 days you drank wine. You don't make up. There's no makeup of 35 days. The maximum makeup is 30 days. Since Chacham said that we don't deal with him, that what? Beidina, the mizakeke, le'ovet shapir. So now it's not the pshat, ein iskakim, that we don't deal with him. And iskakim means it's also for Bezdin to deal with him. If the Bezdin goes ahead and deals with him, they put the Bezdin in Chayrim. The Chacham say that we even give him the other option. Says the Gemara, here we go. Do not be used to saying in Nedarim, why there's different gears in Nedarim, but let's say Shvuos. If a person, as we saw on Shabbos, the Chaimer Isser of making a Shvuah, lo yinaka. If a person makes a Shvuah Shav, it never gets erased. So Meila, says the Gemara, you start with Nedarim, you have a loose mouth, it's going to end up with Shvuos. And don't be used to going to the houses of the Amaratzim. At the end, you're going to eat food that doesn't have Trumas and Maisris. There was a story here in Bet Shemesh, a Maisah Shahaya, where a woman, a big tzaddikus, she was a caterer, but she wasn't from for many years, but she was a very, very chosh of a lady, a tzaddikus. So one of her friends asked her, so when you make all this challah and stuff, you make all this, the dough, the cakes and stuff, how you mafresh challah? She says, what's that? She didn't know. And Rabbi Milunowitz, Zechariah Bracha, said, that's it. We can't have women and making home caterings anymore. It's like she just didn't know. She was Amaretz in that idea. She didn't know what Tafrosh is called. She didn't realize it applies to cake. Okay. Also, Kitzer and all those people, thousands of people, and all the events that she made, no Afrosh Chala, which could be Dairaisa. Yeah? The Ramana Shkol as well. I myself personally had a story where I ate by someone, and we noticed on Shabbos morning, the wife took the chalt, whatever it was, put it into the oven, liquid, on Shabbos. Issa Dairaisa. Now, it could be it wasn't a problem for us to eat it as much as it was a problem for her to do it, but she didn't know. She didn't know. So, as I state, don't eat by the Amaratzim. Shesoifcha la'achilcha tvalim. You can come to Mamish Yisurim. Eating tevel is Dairaisa. That's no question. You eat something that doesn't have Trumas and Maestris is the Dairaisa Chiv Misa. Alti Rogel Eitzel Koyin Amaretz. Shesoifcha la'achilcha Truma. Don't go to a Koyin who's Amaretz, because at the end he'll give you Truma, you the Yisrael. The Ran has a girsa here. He'll give you Truma Tmeya, which means even another Koyin is not permitted to eat by a Koyin Amaretz, because he might give him Truma Tmeya, which is also to all Koyanim. And don't speak too much to a woman. Speaking too much. Stop and yanim. Get close to her and they'll come to Avera. So there's a isser to have hana, looking at a woman, even be'etzvah ktana, the Gemara says. That's already l'sasuru achri levavchem v'achri nechem. L'sasuru achri nechem. That's the isser. But over here, we're not even talking about that. We're talking about not staring, but looking quickly. So again, there's also two parts. There's looking at a makom b'chusa and looking at something that's always revealed, like the face, the hands, which is not asur. But the Gemara is saying that if a person does it too often, soifer liba l'dei aveira. The heel of a woman is usually covered. So if somebody looks at a place that's usually covered, even the heel, which doesn't cause hiru b'derech klal, having labanim shenim muganim. So Taisus on Amud Beis says that we'll see the whole sugya is about midah keneged midah. If a person acts in a certain way, in an inappropriate way, then that midah, whatever he did, HaKadosh Baruch will pay it in his children. His children won't be appropriate children. But so that was, he was over on a inyan of erva, so he'll have banim shenim muganim. Omer Rav Yosef ubeishtei nida. Now, one thing that might bother people, I'll say it over here because I heard this question years ago when I was by Ariel Aber in Chicago, and he's giving a shiur for not from people, and one of the women there asked, why is a kid a mamzer? Like, just because the parents did something wrong, why does it make the kid something wrong? So to me, I think the answer is obvious. I didn't really ask around. This is my pshat. I don't know. In this case, if somebody tells you, if you do drugs and alcohol, you'll have a problem with the pregnancy. The child might be deformed or whatever. So I can say, well, why is it the child's fault? If you do X, Y, Z, you cause something to happen to the child. So over here, there's a ruchnius thing. You do X, Y, Z, you're going to cause the pregnancy to be improper. Yes, it's not the kid's fault. You're right. But you did something wrong. So that's all I understand. It could be, it's a terrible pshat. I don't know. Omer Rav Yosef. Ubeishtei nida. Says Rav Yosef, a big chiddush. A person whose wife is a nida, he has another problem. We're talking about his own wife. That usually he's allowed to look at a makom megula. But over here, because she's a nida, he might come to sin. And Mela, it's also for him. Omer Rav Shimon Lakish, akeva diktani b'makom atinoifas. The word akev, heel, is just euphemism. It's just a mashal. It's a lashon nekiah. It really means makim erva. And the pshat is shumechuven keneged ha'akev. When people sit in a certain way with their legs folded like an Indian or whatever, so the heel is right opposite the makim erva. So it's called the heel. But what it really means, person shouldn't look at the makim erva. Tanya bavur tia yiros al pneichem zubusha. That by Matan Torah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu revealed himself. And it's ba'avur in order to yirasay al pneichem. You should have yiras shamayim. Says the Gemara says, listen, I'll tell you pshat, zubusha. It's to be embarrassed, to be shy, lebilti sechto. That causes a person not to sin. The person has busha. That creates yiras chet. That busha, a person doesn't sin. It's a good thing to be a baishan. A person who has busha doesn't sin. A person is brazen, so you could tell right away that his forefathers didn't stand by Har Sinai, because it says, it's not only for you, it's for future generations. It's unbelievable that a person who achieved a certain midah, he wasn't a baisham, but he became a baisham because he stood by Har Sinai. So it's embedded in his DNA. It goes into his cells, and it goes on to future generations. In other words, that the greatest gift a person could give his own family and children is to break a certain midah, to work on a certain midah. Omer Rabbi Yochanan ben Dahavai. Arba dvarim sachu li malachi hasharis. So just as a akdama to this, the Gemara in Amud Beis says we don't paskin like this. Exactly how much we don't paskin, that's a machlokes rishonim. The Gemara in Amud Beis, and this is what my chassan teacher always used to say, and I had a very lenient chassan teacher. He said, "Kol mashadam roitzel lasis beishta yoisa." That's on Amud Beis. Anything a person wants to do, he could do. Comes Rabbi Yochanan ben Dahavai, he says, I heard from Malachi Hasharis, but the Gemara on Amud Beis says it's not Malachim. Because if Malachim would be in a big crowd. Malachim means I heard from Rabbanim. But we're mechulek on him. That what? We're again going midah keneged midah. Chigrim mibnei mahavian. Why are kids born lame? During relations, they flip the table. So one of the pshatim, the main pshat in the Rishonim that I see over here is bia shalei kedarka, unnatural. Another pshat is that she's facing away from him. So again, the way the Rishonim explained, they were mahapech their thighs, so therefore the thighs of the children become defective. And why are kids born mute? So it's midah keneged midah. If they use their mouth in an improper way, so the kids have a problem with their mouth. Why can't they hear or speak? Deaf mute, because they speak during relations. And why are they blind? They look at their they asked Shalom. Now, Ima is like Mrs. Her name was Shalom, which she was Reb Eliezer's wife. So they asked her, why are your children so beautiful? Turning to Daf Yomi zchus to continue being able to support Torah and to finish answering rebellion for Shlomo Baruch ben Sarah ita yudis bas mindel atzlachas b'yom ben ita yudis. Amar lahen, tell you the secret. Einer mesaper imi loy b'tchilas halayla v'loy b'sayf halayla. Over here, the word mesaper is also lashon nekiah. It means relations. He doesn't talk to me not in the beginning of the night and not at the end of the night. Elo b'chad tzayis halayla. Ukshu misaper, and when he has relations, megala tefach umechasa tefach. V'doim olav k'misha k'foy sheit. He acts with complete tznius. He only reveals a tefach of his body. Basically, he's clothed. V'doim olav k'misha k'foy sheit. He has a feeling as if he's forced by a demon, Pashat forced. So, a number of things here. These things that Reb Eliezer did, the Gemara, she attributes it to having unbelievable, beautiful children. However, al pi halacha, the way we know halacha, what he did is, for us, is asur. La halacha, to be clothed is asur. To kafay shade, according to the Ran, means very quickly. The Gemara says the opposite. It's not about the man, it's about two people together. Every person has to benefit. So being fast is not appropriate. Just what? Just, he was such a kaddish. And I want to go back to the famous story. Shalom, Reb Eliezer's wife knew that if Reb Eliezer does tachnun, which, one of the most holiest tefillas, unfortunately, we look for, the chasen to come in and we put it from tachnun and the bris, wow, Baruch Hashem, there's no tachnun today. Oh, it's Reb Lzecher Chaim, the Gedalia's yard site today. Who? I don't know, some guy, we don't have to say tachnun. But tachnun was so powerful that if Reb Eliezer would do tachnun, his brother-in-law Reb Gamliel would die on the spot. So that's the famous Gemara in Bava Metzia Daf Nun Tes, Amud Beis. She made sure he never said tachnun, because Reb Gamliel was her brother. And one day she came late, and she says, Oy vey, Reb Gamliel is gone, he's a goner. And sure enough, he was nifter. So this is Reb Eliezer. Reb Eliezer, one tachnun kills somebody. There was a Rebbe that said once, and I think it's appropriate for over here. He said to his chassid, he said, listen, I darshan about Kedusha and all these things, a person should act like this and like that. But I also talk about achila, Kedusha ba'achila. So if you go to a restaurant and you fresh like a chazer, and you eat steaks and pizza and this and that, all of a sudden when it comes to other things in Yonah Kedusha, you're such a tzaddik on the cheshbon of your wife, that's not right. If a person is Reb Eliezer from top to bottom and his tachnun is like this, so then we have this Gemara, it's not negeh to us b'chlal. And the Stipler says, mamish on this thing, he says that if a person is like kafay shed, he says that's bad midas, and it's usr, he says. He uses a lashon of usr, and he says that not only is it not a maila, it's a yerida. A person acts like this, he's a yerid. A person at the highest level. And also, I forgot to say a very important thing. Everything here in the sugya is with the wife's consent. There's nothing in the sugya that's just he decided on his own. Reb Eliezer obviously had consent. V'marti loi, matam. What's pshat? And this is the pshat in the whole sugya. It's brought in 5 different areas of the sugya. What?
Who is she talking to?
To her friend, a girlfriend. Probably. I'm saying,
otherwise, you're not allowed to talk.
We'll see funny Lashonas soon. Interesting Lashonas. No, if it's La Halacha, it's La Halacha. We've seen funny. I get it, but in those days, in the Gemara, we'll see more private things. A woman goes to a Rav and asks the most. Nobody in this generation would ask such a thing. I hear, yeah. But Lil Torah need tzarech. And the guy that hid under the bed, I want to know.
You go to a rabbi and ask. Are you going to someone's private?
We don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about it.
Who gives you the right to tell these things to anybody?
Okay, weiter. We only have 6 minutes. So this is a very, very powerful line here. And this is the idea in a lot of the things in the sugya. That if a person has thoughts about another woman during relations, now it's obviously also to think about another woman. Stop during the day. But what happens is during relations, and this we saw over and over throughout Shas, Yiddishkeit is about the machshava. If a person has a machshava and he's doing an act, it's unbelievable. His act is associated with that other woman. So it's as if he had a relationship with the Eish Ish. Not mamish, but on a kemat level. If so, he just turned his wife into Eish Ish. So much so we're going to see in a second. That even it's the other, he's thinking about his other wife. He has 2 wives. He thought about the wrong one by mistake. He didn't even know. Also very problematic. And that's the issue here in the whole sugya. Akal upon him. But what do we see here? So one of the pshat that I relate to is because she used the lashon misaper imi. She used the lashon of relations. She said misaper, talking. She wouldn't use that lashon if it was usher to talk during relations. So you see, you're allowed to talk. Like kasha. When it's anything to prepare for tashmish, to help her, whatever it is, to ease her, then it's okay. But stam schmoozing about nothing, the weather, that's awesome. Comes Rabbi Yochanan and says all these four things that we said that are awesome. That's Rabbi Yochanan ben Davai. Person is permitted to do whatever he wants. Ask your local rabbi. A lot of Rishonim say it's only referring to Shaloi Kedarka, and the Ram points out on the spot, but even Shaloi Kedarka, a person has to be careful for a Tzasar Levatala. Now, I just want to point out one thing. Once we're talking about this sugya, I think it's kedai for every single person, this is my own opinion, to go shmooze with a chassan teacher again. Even if you're married for 30 years, it's kedai. Because people, when you take a break, pregnancy, whatever, you forget halachas, you forget things. And there's a lot of different chassan teachers. Some are very, very machmer. Some are very, very mekel. There's no one surah and one thing. So go shmooze it over. Certain things that you thought are asr might be mutter. Certain things that you mutter might be asr. Stam, it's kedai to brush up on this. It's a taiva. Just like you take a piece of meat, sometimes the meat, you don't need to do much. You eat it as is, a little salt. Sometimes it takes longer. And there's a mashal to relations. Sometimes it takes longer to get into it. It's a little bit longer. It takes many hours on the stove. So this. Everybody, each person their own, whatever is necessary. So to a fish, like a fish, you could cook it in many different ways, and some people even cook it with milk. Whatever it is, this is the idea of kol masharoy tzelasos. Omar Meimar, ma malach hasharis. But wait a minute. He said he heard this from malach hasharis. And malach hasharis know why children are born with defects and not born with defects. Says Zigmar, no, it's Rabbanan. He only heard it from other Rabbanan. We're mechuluk on him. Because you're going to say malach hasharis. They know what happens with the baby, why baby is born lame, etc. Why are they called malachim? They look like malachim. They act like malachim. Okay. Zog the Gemara. That's why they come in the Rebbe. I was shocked when I read this. A woman comes to Rebbe. She tells Rebbe, I prepared the table, and he flipped it over, like we said the other pshatim before, or whatever the pshat is. So she's coming to complain to a Rav. She's saying, look, it already happened. I want to know if my husband acted appropriately or not. The Torah says it's 100% mutter. The Ran says whatever pasuk, I forgot what it is. V'mani yasalach. Okay, he has kol masharoy tzelasos. Ahida asar l'kamei the Rab. Omer lo Rebbe arachti lo yishulchem afachai. Same thing. Omar ma'ishnam im binisa. Why is it any different than a fish? You can cook it any different way. Not a problem. Here's the problem of thinking about another woman. Even if both of these women are his wives, it's still a problem. It says in the pasuk. Yeah? So he has a heter. He's mutter to both of them. Just his mind was on another one, the wrong one. It's a problem. It's kilu. The kids are mamzerim. Uvaroisi mekem. Uvaroisi is a lashon of I selected, I chose mekem hamordim ba'apoishim bi, those who rebelled against me and sinned against me. Omer Reb Eli, elu b'nei teisha midos. There are 9 types of children that come from 9 acts that are not appropriate, and the Rosh Tevis are b'nei osnas mishgach, or however you want to pronounce it. B'nei ema, b'nei anusa. That's 1. Because we have to say it's 1 because the Gemara tells us 10. So these 2 go together. Ema is an act that's done out of fear. What's fear? Mental. Put a gun to her head. Or b'nei anusa is more of a physical thing. So it's mental and physical. Both, the kids are going to come out messed up. B'nei snua, if he hates her. Now, we see over and over the idea that there has to be love involved. Not only that, the more love, the better the child comes out. B'nei nidui, if one of the two are in cherem, excommunication, b'nei tmura. So this is very interesting. This is the least of the least. In other words, he had two wives, Rachel and Leah, and he was with Rachel thinking that she's Leah. So what do you want from the guy? He's mutter to both of them. The Leah was asking to be with him. He just thought it's Rachel. It's like the least. Ava Pike and the kids are terrible. B'nei Meriva, if a person has a fight with his wife, he doesn't want to divorce her, just in a fight. B'nei Shichrus, we just had in the parasha with light. Either one of them is drunk, so you don't have the full. It's interesting because some Rishonim say that if you don't have, it's not with love, it's tam out of taiva, not love. Then it's like it's aser. So over here you don't have the consent of one of them. You don't have the full das of the other one. So you're missing that love. You're missing that piece. B'nei grushas halev. This is very interesting and very important. If a person intends to divorce his wife, in his mind he's divorcing her. That's it. It's just a question when he's going to go to the bezdin. So it's also for him to be with her. B'nei irbuvia. If let's say she didn't wait the 3 months between the two marriages, so the kid is a morvav. B'nei chatzufa. If the woman is a demanding woman, she demands it. What's the problem for demanding? It's a beautiful thing to demand. Oh, look real quickly here because I did this. I think it's very important to go back to the sugya over there. Sorry for Amud Aleph. I did it, so we might as well say it. I'm sorry to break it, but we have to do it because it's important for the sugya. I skipped it. If Amaretz has a very good explanation for his neder, going back to Nedarim for a second, it's a 50-50. You don't need a hatara for Amaretz. Listen to this man, it's very important. Amaretz who has a good pshat, you don't need a hatara. If on top I put it in, it's small, if the Amaretz has a very shvach pshat, it's a net. He says, Chaim is a net. According to Remeir, you give only the Amaretz 2 punishments, 2 things, punishment and a chumrah. And according to Chachamim, only Amaretz needs a hatara, but he doesn't get a einish. Okay? You need a hatara. But you don't say he has to make up the days. Now, if a person is over on the neder d'oraisa, he says he's not going to eat bread and it's a good neder, then he has to wait those extra days, according to everybody. We were talking about a neder that it's not chal. He said cherem, but I meant to say it's a net. We're not talking about that. A real neder, a full-fledged neder, and he breaks his neder and he eats bread for 3 days, he should make up those 3 days. But Taisa says a beautiful thing, and a lot of Rishonim say it's in the Shulchan Aruch. You can look it up in the Shulchan Aruch. But Taisa over here on the spot brings it, and he says, like the Ram brings the Taisas. He says that if a person makes a neder that he can't keep, he says, I'm not going to eat meat for the rest of my life. I'm not going to eat wine and meat. Or Taisa's example is, I'm not going to eat all the pears. So we don't do anything. We let him break it, and he sticks in a word. I just like the lashon. He says because he's going to have a problem with Meleches Shemayim. How is he going to be Oved Hashem if he can't eat and he can't drink? Okay, but we tell him he can't do charata, he can only do a petach. So look at those 3 things and you have the sugya. But anyways, look at this pasuk for a second. It says in the pasuk like this. Pasuk Yigimel says, Haveluchem anoshim, chachamim, 1, nevainim, in green, v'yiduim in purple. Yisrael told Moshe Rabbeinu, take all these chashuv people. And pasuk Tezvav says, the Moshe Rabbeinu said, v'ekach es rosh shiftechem, 2 out of the 3. Chachamim, red, v'yiduim, purple. What happened to the green? Nevainim. Nevainim is missing. Says the Gemara, look, because Leah, she went and she demanded from Yaakov Avinu that he should be with her. She had Yisachar, and Yisachar had Nevainim. So you see that Yisachar from demand is actually better than anything else. What are you telling me a woman shouldn't demand? You didn't have these people in Moshe Rabbeinu. It was missing the word Nevainim over there, like I showed you. And then it says that because the Chamar went off the path and went to Leah's thing, that's why he had Yisachar. You see that because of that, they had Yisachar who's a Navain. It says Gemara, Leah didn't demand. She didn't say it straight out. She said, come to my tent. You understand from that whatever you need to understand. That's the way to do it. That's actually very appropriate. Hadran Allah ve'elu mutarim. Hadran Allah ve'elu mutarim. Hadran Allah ve'elu mutarim. Have a wonderful day for today and have a wonderful day for yesterday.